I just want to kind of remind people of something that I mentioned last time, which was one of our first clues as to that the market could go lower. And it was actually evidence that I found over here. I don't know if you guys recall that we're on the show, but I was looking at this, and that's kind of what alerted me to, to think actually maybe this could go lower. So if you recall over here, what we had was a situation where the market was doing these kind of higher highs and higher lows, and then this was just like barely a higher high, and then the market went and took out this low here, and then created this lower high, and then we fell. So I was kind of talking about that scenario potentially being over here, and the first sign was really when we took out this low there. And so what we were saying is that now the market could do something similar. It could pull back somewhere and then potentially go lower, which is exactly what it's done. So with that being said, what you kind of want to look at now, there's a couple of different ways that we can identify when this market is ready to resume its uptrend. But that's something you should look out for. So keep an eye on these swings, okay? Because that's really what's happening right now. The market is still making these lower lows and lower highs, and what we want to see is that change. There's a couple of things that we're going to do here to identify when that might happen. And then we'll come up with some levels and ideas that we can use. So let's start by looking at something here. So I want to look at the way that the market has been kind of reacting. So if you look back over here, you can see that this area here, this resistance line was acting as really nice resistance here. So this line here, and then the market eventually broke, and then the market went higher. So we're going to come back and potentially use that one. I'm also going to look at the upside here, and I can see there's a nice reactive line on the upside. So we're going to use that line, and we're going to put a support line there. Now, if you guys recall, the reason why I said, 48 to 50,000, there was a couple of things, but like one of those things was, really nice levels. So nice resistance, and then we also had this level here. So that's where I identified this block here to potentially be the low where we could start to look to buy. And if you have a look, what the market has done is it went lower, but actually ultimately, as I was saying before, it has held here. So that's a really good sign for Bitcoin. That's a good sign for the bulls. And I also love the way that this line has held as well, which is something that I identified later on. So that's a real positive. Now, does that mean we're out of the woods? Not necessarily, but we really do need this level, well, this line to hold, but most importantly, we do need this level to hold here. So for me, that is an absolutely fundamental level here that we mustn't break. If we break this level, guys, then I must say that for the time being, we could be going much lower. Okay. My opinion is we're not going to break that level. Okay. That's what my opinion is. I think we will base out, and I think the market will eventually start to go higher. So here's what I'm thinking. First big target is 53K. Okay, that is look at firstly a couple of things. Past support, that's the most recent support area. That is what is going to be interesting for people to take profits on the long side, and also for people to short again. So what we might get is a push up to 53, and then we're going to be met with resistance. This is an area now that's going to become really important. So what we could get is possibly a pullback, and then the market to break and potentially start to make its way up. That is a very plausible scenario. The other way you could do it is we have a big push and we close above here. That then becomes a pullback area that we can look to buy. Again, 53K is the significant one. So I mentioned before, 50K was significant for a long time. Right now, in my opinion, I think we have 53K as a really, really important level. And then I think we have this area here, which is about 41.5 as a really, really important level. I want to stress, we don't want to see Bitcoin below that, because that would then concern me that we're going to go much lower. And then we're going to have to start planning for, you know, how low we can go using our Fibonacci. But right now, in my opinion, we're still good. We're still good for the up move that we've been expecting. So we can kind of dive in a little bit deeper as to how you could take advantage of this. But for me, this area here, the bounce area, could represent your opportunity. Now, if we go to the lower time frames, we'll check that out. One thing you can do also is you can use this line over here as a resistance point, and you should, because the most likelihood is that you're going to be met with some resistance. If you're quite conservative by nature and you don't want to kind of pick the low, what you could do is you could let the market do its thing and then only buy it if we break through this line, because this line is going to be significant and it could be the start of the move higher. So for those that like to play momentum strategies, you want to be on the right-hand side of this line, okay? Because the resistance at that point is going to be minimal. The control is going to be with the buyers, and I think we're going to make our way up towards 100K. Okay, so as we break that line, I think we'll make our way to 100K. For those that want value, I would be ideally saying to you guys, you're either going to want to pick it up here, okay, around that kind of 48 and 49, 48 and a half sort of zone, and then hope that it's going to do that. Okay, so higher reward, higher risk. Your stop should be, if you're going to put stops in, should be below these lows, because that for me is where the game ends. Like if you're going to catch a move up to maybe 100K or whatever, even higher, for me, we mustn't take this out. I want to kind of stress that point. So you could be risking maybe 12K to make potentially 50K. A nice sort of 3-4 to 1 swing trade. Let me go to the lower time frames. Hopefully this is making sense for people, but we'll go to the lower time frames and see what else we've got that it's showing us right now. So let me have a quick little look at the 4-hour time frame. This is the, by the way, these are the lines that I've been speaking. I mean, we've been speaking about these lines here for so long. It is incredible, like that they've still held even there, and I know I'm not gonna. I know people that bought here. Like, if you had been watching our shows, I've mentioned it so many times. You don't want to be buying unless we clearly break this line. And look how well it's held. I mean, that's a bit of a fake out there. But this, I've had this line drawn in since all of the shows, right, Gavin? I mean, if you go back and watch some of the shows, this has been here for over a month. And it just keeps holding and holding and holding. A little bit of a fake out there. And look how it comes back in and hits it again. So, you know, if you do go long and you buy it at that sort of, I don't know, wherever, 48.5, 49K, you've still got to remember, we're not out of the woods until this line is cleared. So that's quite an easy line to draw. If you go to your 4-hour chart, you just connect these points here and just do it exactly as I've drawn there. If you get a close above that, you've got to say now it's looking pretty nice. But from a trading point of view, you've got to clear 53. And then once you've cleared 53, you've got to kind of clear this level here. So there's lots of great opportunities for trading. For investing, it could be quite a ride. So let's have a little look to see where we are within the fib cycles right now. So if you have a look over here, we have an A, we have a B, the market has pulled back pretty much to its 38.2 there. Okay, just shy of that. Let me actually put that to the low exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much the 38.2. We're at the 1272 there, which is a little bit of a resistance point. But what's quite interesting is that I had a line here as well. And if I just extend this, let me see how it, that's quite interesting, right? So it's broken that. I've only just seen that now. Support was resistance. It's broken that. And if we probably add in volume, let's see if it kind of had any volume to it. Let's have a little look. So good volume there. Didn't do it with a huge amount of volume, I've got to say. But yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see if this market is going to potentially pull back into this line. So what you can do, guys, if you want to pick Bitcoin up, you could stick an alert on this line. So like you just right click on the line, add alert, and just say something like potential buy point buy line. And so once it hits that line, you're kind of coming into that zone that we said anyway, 49, 48 and a half. And then I think we have that kind of potential, you know, this is the 1618, you know, so and this is the overextension. I've got to say, normally the market will go to the overextension in a reversal. So I'd expect that we're going to go and hit this level, which is 57,230. And this can happen quite fast. Now, here's what would normally happen if you weren't watching this. People would get FOMO and they'd start jumping in here. Worst time to get in. Absolute worst time to get in. If you're going to take Bitcoin, take it here. Don't let it start doing that before you're jumping in. Otherwise, wait for the break and then look for the pullback to get in. So I don't want to kind of spend any more time because I think I've said a lot, but that should hopefully give everybody some good insight, you know, as to the areas where we think, okay, Bitcoin is bearish. I've already stated those, and where I think right now the next obvious move is, and then what we need to break to confirm the upside. So a rally to 56, 57. So a rally to 54.5 to 57.5 looks very probable. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods, just as a reference point.